you like the idea.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Why do you love it? That was pretty emphatic.
Well, what it does, I remember back in my league days, we had a thing called the World Club Challenge during the Super League, where, you know, the Cronulla Sharks, we toured over to the UK and we played against, who did we play against? Bradford, we played against St Helens. I was a young player, I wasn't playing rep footy at the time, and that experience for me just opened my eyes. I thought it made me a better footballer, seeing different environments, playing against different styles of play. And what it can do for young players is enormous, who haven't quite made it that next step to the representative level. Playing in a great club side opens their eyes up to the world, opens their eyes up to different types of training, different types of play, and I think it can only benefit. I think on a whole, you know, you look at like the UEFA Champions League, you know, the best teams in soccer getting together and playing it. That's huge. It's massive. I guess the challenge with rugby, it's spread so far apart that just trying to find the time and how it all works, and does it, you know, interfere with, you know, the rugby championship, does it interfere with Super Rugby, how they put it all together, that's going to be the challenge. But in terms of it as a competition, I would love nothing more than to see, you know, the best, you know, Australian team up against the best English team or the best French team, or, you know, at a club level. And to be able to finally bury the hatchet once a year of who is the best rugby playing hemisphere. Is it the North or is it the South? Of course it's the South, but we'll never know until we see it.
Isn't that what the Nations Cup is going to do? Decide that?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That this World Rugby is trying to find windows and opportunities to create marquee events, to move away from novelty events, right? Respectfully, World Club Challenge, bit of a development model. Hey guys, do you want to get a passport? What's that thing? Let's play NRL. We'll go travel somewhere else. Well, yeah, I mean, come on,
I get
young
it.
kid, I get to go overseas
saying,
and understand foreign exchange, and, you know, like, it's just different.
No
right?
TABs in Prague.
What you have with rugby is this international, and you're very correct, north-east-south competition timing, the governance model. Making this a marquee event needs to be a competition. So that means it needs a time frame inside a year that's full to have a series of opportunities for teams to play against each other into a finals, into a grand final situation, and a trophy that's worth holding. The timing of it once every 4 years after the World Cup. Lots of macro issues to decide, which I won't put us all to sleep with. Funding. Who's going to fund it? How is it going to be compelling to be funded? And what level of funding are clubs going to be compensated for giving up something clearly? And giving up something clearly in Super Rugby means moving the Super Rugby season forward probably earlier, start in the year, a different type of structure for that once every 4 years. There's been models proposed around no finals and just round robin. There's been models proposed around shorter season, I think 9 games or 8 rounds, and then into quarter semis, finals. Not as many home games for provinces. That means their funding model's down. Who's compensating them and to what level? Then we've got this thing called the players being asked to get on a plane and move overseas and play already, play load, play welfare. So they're the three big islands at the moment that still need to be agreed. Yeah. So when we say conceptually yes, macro no problem, these are details that need to be...
Thanks for not putting us to sleep on
Yeah, jeez.
Did I not put you to sleep?
I'm awake. I'm awake.
Was that quick enough?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I agree.
I'll get in trouble for talking for too long.
No,
these are complex...
You're right, they are. That was unfair of me. That was an unfair dig of me.
Matt's absolutely right. Like, mouth-watering, right? The idea of the Brumbies playing Leinster, it's like, OK, finally we now can figure that out. But the way they're talking about it is that it would be played in June.
Yep.
So, and funnily enough, the end of our seasons actually marry up perfectly. Like the English finish up at the same time as us. They just play for 3 or 4 months longer. It would be put in June is what they're talking about. 2 pools of, what are we talking, 2 pools of 8. So you're talking like 3 games each plus a final. So it's a month of footy. That's still a long time to be like, for the Brumbies and the Waratahs to get on a plane and go to live in the UK for a month. So maybe the idea is it doesn't need to be that big. Like, just send your top 2 teams.
I think that the notion of 7 teams from Super Rugby is...
Too many.
Yeah. And then even 8 from the Champions Cup or UK and Europe.
Send your best 2 Warriors into the Thunderdome and you know, semis and final. Like, you still figure out. I'd watch the hell out of that. But to talking to Phil yesterday, he said that the preference would be to not contract the Super Rugby season. So you would currently, if you're moving it forward 3 weeks, you start in the middle of January, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty hot.
Which runs up against annual leave provision.
So the Wallabies boys usually only turn back up to work around January 10. But having said that, they would start holidays earlier because the World Cup is finishing in November the year before. So that might not be such a problem. But then, you know, you've got Super Rugby's been pushed from pillar to post and changed 1,000 times, and you know, so
that was one thing in your story.
too.
Yeah,
there's one thing, yes, to that point in your story that I was quite impressed with, or that I liked hearing from
key
that
priority that they don't
Super
stuff
Rugby
Super
keeps
Rugby around.
suffering from continuous change, trying to keep some continuity in it.
So they would, you know, at most move the season, just pick it up and move it, instead of like, okay, we won't play finals, we'll do first past the post, or, you know, like, I think that's what...
Classic risk analysis,
yeah.
Right? Risk and benefit. You know, existing product versus enticing concept into reality. You know, I hear meritocracy, right? There's meritocracy, everyone will... Funding requirement, player welfare, workplace conditions, do the unions agree? You know, there's lots of moving parts. It is an intoxicating concept, and players often talk about, you know, wanting to solve the issue. And I wonder, and unintended consequences, I wonder, you talk about player retention, right? So then contract modelling will start to look further than just the World Cup years, World Cup to World Cup, because you'll want your strongest teams to be entering into a World Cup challenge. If it's got validity and marquee status and maybe even some prize money, who knows? You know, that could be a thing as well. You'd hate to think that World Cup, the team that's performed very well, say the Brumbies have got, you know, 5 or 6 players that they've contracted just about right, and then they're all going overseas and they all pop up at Leicester, and then Leicester benefit from those blokes playing for who knows, right? You know, you're like, oh, hang on a minute, we want those blokes back.
And the other hurdle is that there's
all the Waratahs, all the Force.
There's tests on the other side of it, so everyone has to jump on planes, and now the Nations Cup, so everyone comes to the south in July, so you'd have to carve out another couple of weeks to make sure everyone's right to play.
I wonder if the model is you do away with those you do away with the mid-year test window for that year in July, when the North come down here and we play 2 tests against Wales, 1 test against Georgia, etc. Maybe that 1 year.
No way.
Every 4 years you do away with that.
What are you doing with the 15 million bucks that you lose?
Yeah, it's too much money.
Well, that's whether this can generate a replacement.
Well, it could.
Solid. Hey?
It could generate.
Okay.
I mean, there'd be a lot of games to be played. It could generate it. It's new.
We're
just trying to
you know,
flesh
the thing
out
is, we don't know.
Justin.
We don't know what it could generate. It's been talked about for a long time, and the sticking point has been someone to say, here is the money, and this is how it's going to be dispersed. Ultimately, that is a big rock that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good idea, though.
I love.
We shouldn't be
happy days.
We shouldn't be afraid of
stuff
change.
to be chatted about, like worked out. But I think, in principle, I think it'd be.
I think that